Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. So I know it's been a little while. Things have been very hectic on this side, which we'll get into later on in the video. But for right now, you see behind me, truck and trailer are hooked up. The box is full and we are making a trip up to Accelerated. And we're combining 3 trips into one. So the 3 things that we are doing, we have a Lexus in the trailer, so this is going up for Russ to finish the wiring on it. We have parts right here, a block, miscellaneous parts, and the truck is packed full of other parts for another Supra project that will be covered on the channel at some point in time. And the most important of all the projects today is this is the day where we go up and try to get the Supra to run. So you saw the trailer has a bunch of stuff in it. The truck is packed full of all kinds of different stuff. And like I said, this is parts from multiple different cars. Actually, all 3 of the projects at this point in time. But everything's packed full there. Then I have my go bag, camera bag, laptop, and then everything else to sustain myself for this trip. So without rambling on anymore, let me go ahead and get the trailer packed up, or closed back up rather, and get on the road, headed up there, and I'll check in with you guys then. Well, we are up here at Accelerated and already got some of the stuff unloaded out of the trailer and out of the truck. You can see the Lexus in the trailer behind me there. That will come out of the trailer in a little while. I want to get some stuff knocked out on the Supra first, as that obviously is the highest priority with being up here for this trip. So behind me here you can see Don's rig set up, and mine is a Ram 2500 with a 28-foot trailer. His is a 3500 with whatever length this is, and it absolutely dwarfs my setup. So I don't know, just kind of funny little bit for it. But I'll go ahead and get a few things knocked out on the Supra off camera, and before long we should be ready to try to crank this thing and try to fire it up. Alright, all the fluids are dumped in the car now, at least everything that we could right now. It has 10 gallons of ethanol in it. It has 8 quarts of transmission fluid, 6 quarts of VR1 2050 oil, and we are getting really close to being able to fire this thing up. I still have to put a set of spark plugs in it to gap those, do all of that, which I will get started on now. And I'm going to pull the radiator out so I can get some sort of a tool down in there to spin the dry sump pump over once we can connect the computer to it. So that way we can get the system primed to get some oil pressure through, get oil flow through, and make sure there aren't any leaks or anything along those lines. So I'll set you guys down and get some of this other stuff knocked out, and we'll check in a few minutes. Alright, we're now uploading the tune file. I guess the tune file is already uploaded, and getting ready to do some systems checks. So Don's here with the laptop on. There's Don's beautiful face, and you can see that we are in the PolyFI software. So main power's on. No magic smoke has been let out yet, and as far as I know, we don't have any fluids on the ground, but nothing's been circulated yet. So if we would have leaks at this point, there would be much larger problems. But we're just about ready to start testing and checking stuff, and before long we'll be ready to crank it and see if it does fire up. Where would a first startup be without running into some issues? So having some issues as far as polarity is concerned, but Russ is on it. He's going to switch a few wires around, and we should be good to go after that. So I went ahead and I pulled the dry sump belt off of the pump, because I'm going to come in here with a drill or something along those lines to spin the pump, build pressure up, and that way we will feed oil through the whole engine and make sure nothing is without oil before we go and crank it for the first time. As engines, they run on very very thin films of oil, and it's kind of crazy when you think about like, an engine going at 10,000 RPM, and there's just a very, very small film of oil that's keeping it alive or causing its untimely demise. So I want to avoid that with this, so we'll go ahead and spin it over once we're set back up, verify we're getting oil pressure in the ECU, and I think at that point we should be good to go. So another neat little thing is we ran the primer pump, and there's definitely fluid in here. I will have to come in and get some Teflon washers and sandwich those in between each one of these fasteners, as there was a little bit of an ethanol leak coming around some of the bolts, but that won't be hopefully a big problem right now, as I don't have any Teflon washers, but we'll get it sorted out and everything should be good to go. So we went ahead and spun the dry sump pump over and immediately put oil onto the ground. So let me grab a light, and you can see right there the oil that we put back onto the ground. So what the issue is I neglected to plug up the port for the oil pressure sensor on the side of the block. So I have the little fitting right here. What I'm going to do is make a slug, put it in there, weld that up, as the threads inside are British pipe as opposed to NPT. So I'll never need that port again, and if for any reason, any stretch of the imagination in the future I do, I'll get another one of these fittings or one of these bolts or whatever it is, call it a day, replace it, so on and so forth. So I need to weld this up, put this back in, then we can spin the pump again and see where the next leak comes from. All right, we ran into another issue, and this is just the way that it goes when, especially when you build all of your own parts like this, it's just an inevitability that you're going to run into some roadblocks. So this one was, if you see a little plug on that line right there, and this one right here, the issue is on my lower fuel rail, you can see the fitting down in there, kind of on top of where the throttle cable is. When I made the rails, I cut the chamfers too deep for the O-rings. So the O-rings don't have a good positive engagement to them. And as fuel pressure builds, it's blowing fuel out around those O-rings. So that's the secondary rail, thankfully. So I pulled the feed and the return line off, I capped those. The lower fuel rail's open at this point, but if no fuel is flowing through it and we're not commanding the secondary injectors open, then it won't cause any issue with getting this thing to run. So fingers crossed that that's the last of the leaks, and we're running short on time here at this point in time, but I guess we'll give it another shot and see what happens. All right, here we go for the first try. You want to take that? Ready? Yeah. Is there anything leaking out of that tank over there?
Nope.
I don't see anything leaking. Cam sensor's blinking. I think it's functioning.
Blinking, or it's blinking as it comes?
Blinking as it comes around.
So we cranked the car over, tried everything we possibly could, and we cannot get a cam crank sync with it. Cam crank signal, no RPM signal, no injectors, no coils at that point. So unfortunately, it's a bit anticlimactic towards the end of the day here, but we tried everything we could. Got a bunch of different leaks and everything else solved, as you guys saw, but fortunately can't hear it make noise today. But we'll be able to do that hopefully in the not too distant future. The tuner's on it. He is figuring out what the issue is, and we'll either get a new file, get something, and be able to hopefully get this thing fired up before too long. But for now, I'm sweaty, I'm tired, I still have a long drive home, so I'm going to get out of here and we'll reconvene in the near future with something else. We are back a couple of days after the previous clip when we were up at Accelerated and ran into some tune issues with the Supra. So from then until now, we have received a new updated tune file that has the correct firmware applied to it, and the guys up there said that they were essentially able to get the car to cough. What I mean by that is they got it to backfire, got it to actually show that the combustion process is attempting to happen. So bright and early, we are 6:25 in the morning right now. I'm headed back up to Toledo so we can poke around the car more, have a few new parts for it, a few new things that need to be applied to the project that we'll go over once I get up there. But for now, I am going to half asleep drive my way up to Toledo, and we will reconvene there in just a little while. All right, now up here at Accelerated, and the first thing that I'm going to do is get the new secondary fuel injectors out and get them into the intake manifold. So these are ID 2600s and 14mm top and bottom O-ring. These will replace the billet atomizers, as since the car will run on ethanol, there's no need to have 500-pound secondary injectors. So these will work better than everything else, and all I have to do is pop the atomizers out, throw the IDs in. Hopefully the lengths are similar enough that doesn't alter the fuel rail mounting, but we'll do that. And then I have to weld the ORB adapter fittings to the ends of the fuel rail, or at least the secondary fuel rail. When I made the fuel rail, I must have put the threads in crooked, did it by hand tap and everything else. Not the best way to do it, and now I get to suffer the consequences. But before I drone on any farther, let me go ahead, get these injectors thrown in, yet I can get the fuel rail modified, reassemble the intake manifold, put it back on, and at that point we should be hopefully good to go. Well, I guess there's a few other things I need to do. Let me do this injector stuff first, and we'll keep going from there. After quite the battle, I finally got the fuel surge tank sealed up. And wherever I put the tube, oh, it's right over here, I used a combination of this stuff that I got from O'Reilly, just seal all, regular fuel tank sealant. It's so stupid, but it worked. A combination of that and these little Teflon washers from McMaster car. Sealed the whole bottom of the base after we tried to O-ring it, and that didn't work out. But sealed the bottom of the base, and then put Teflon washers underneath of these washers. We just pressurized the fuel system, or at least pressurized the fuel surge, so that way it would force fuel through the return and back to the rear of the car, and it worked. It was the second or third time I had it apart today to get that issue resolved, but persistence paid off. All is well there. So after Don goes and drops his car off, and I think he's going to pick his kids up, we can finally try to start this thing again. So beyond that, if you see the purple on the bottom fuel rail there, the 2600s are in their place. Intake side is all back together. Everything is ready to go. So in a little while, we'll be able to finally turn this thing over and hopefully hear whatever noises it feels like making. And out here, you see just the tail end of it. Check that out. There's Don's big tire car going up in his trailer. What do you say, Don?
What do I say?
Yeah. I don't know either. Yeah, me too.
I got a winch.
What tires do you have on this right now?
It's got the 10.5s on it.
10.5s. That thing's awesome.
Get the itty bitties.
Itty bitties. But awesome car, and can't wait to see what this thing does.
I'll say, is it auto detect?
Is the IAC plug back in?
The what?
IAC?
Yeah. Yeah.
Give her a rip.
Alright, ready? Let's see.
Do it again.
It's got any fuel pressure.
Doesn't have any filter.
Prime it for a minute while you're doing it. So what do we have for fuel pressure right now? That's not, that has no ability to create. Yeah, it shouldn't have any fuel screen. Try to bring it again?
Yeah.
You want me to give it any throttle?
No, it ain't gonna matter. It's not making it.
You can pop that. Yeah. Ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gotta get that pump moving.
Let me try it again. Only put it back far enough.
Fucking hell, not you.
Good work.
It's back to where it was approximately
The first time.
the other day. It's like at 2 o'clock now.
Tiny breathing essentially.
And he's just moving it around.
I'm not moving around that.
Let's go back the way it was slightly.
Good.
It's that 1:30, 2 o'clock area. I mean, if it's out 180, I don't think we're trying to run at all.
Right?
Well, that's close to being lined up on the crane. Where the cam is, I don't know. But you can probably, I guess, see if it's up when it's doing it. But
Good.
so down there, it's only off a little. It's probably at 5 degrees. If it had a timing, if it had a plastic cover on it, it'd be at 5 or 10 degrees on the bottom.
What do we have that's not working?
It doesn't sound different than
You got too much exhaust. The exhaust should be coming straight out of the fuck. Or out the side, yeah. Fabulous street car build, Alex. Looks like you could drive this to Applebee's.
It's almost like I decided to make it a street car. Ready? You start running away there.
Oh, but it sounded like it was popping out of the intake a little bit.
Give me a power.
think that was all of it.
He said start it and try and keep it running until the O2 comes up. Go ahead, try it. Ready?
Oh, it's coming out of the back of the tank. The top
Seal didn't work.
yeah, the cap's leaking.
Sweet.
So it must be running. Well, that's all six. I mean, it's not right yet, but.
Power's off. Do I need to put the power back on?
I'll force the idle down.
Okay. Alright, ready to go?
I mean, it didn't do that at first.
Well, as you guys saw, the car now runs. And after 6 years of all the trials and tribulations, the life ups and downs and everything else, we had some fire in the pipes. And big thanks to this man right here for making it happen, in addition to Russ, obviously. But Don, what do you have to say about it?
I didn't do a whole lot. Rusted most of it.
Yeah, well...
The wiring of it was a lot.
Yeah, there was...
And it didn't go super easy on startup either.
No, we did have quite a few hiccups, quite a few things to get worked out, but we did get to hear it run, as you guys just heard in the video. And albeit we didn't get to run it for all that long, still hearing this thing after all that time is just incredible, and I could not be happier right now. If you guys see right there, you can see we actually have color in the Inconel tubing. So this will obviously be more pronounced the more use and the more heat that goes through those tubes, but just sitting at idle and trying to get the initial timing and the timing sync and everything set, we got some nice blues and golds and maybe a little bit of purple into it, and I think it looks awesome. So you know it's real when your exhaust tubes start changing color, and we have reached just that point. All right, I'm back at my house after getting the Supra running, which obviously a massive victory and a massive bright spot, but we need to talk about a massive dark spot. And if you guys saw, I posted on the YouTube page as well as my social media outlets. Unfortunately, on June 28th, my dad lost his battle with cancer. So it was a 7-month-long ordeal, 7-month-long battle that he went through, and it unfortunately took his life, like I said, on June 28th. So I had recorded a 40-something minute long video as a tribute to him, to outline the entire course of his illness and everything else. And I made the video, I uploaded it, and sat and thought about it for a couple of days, and I deleted it. So it's one that I won't publish. Not that there was anything too crazy in it, but it just didn't seem right, and it wasn't what I wanted it to be. But I wouldn't feel right without doing some sort of tribute to him and telling the world exactly what he meant to me. So my dad was one of my best friends. He was a really good man to me, and I'm going to miss him dearly as my life goes on. But it's somewhat fortunate that I had 7 months with him, and unfortunately had to watch his condition deteriorate throughout the course of that 7 months. But being given that time allowed me to spread the grieving process out over a much longer period of time, which is why I'm able to sit here and reminisce with a smile on my face about him, as opposed to being in the fetal position, crying my eyes out, just being an emotional mess. But I had all that time to spend with him, numerous conversations that I will hold near and dear to my heart for the rest of my life. I got to see him in a different light than I had seen him for all the other years and for the duration of my life that he was part of it. But it's still taking a little bit of getting used to, where I'll see a car on the road that I want to tell him about, or see a meme that I want to send him, and knowing that I could surely send him a text or something along those lines, but there will be no response to it. So it's taking a little bit of getting used to, and a little bit of rationalizing to realize that, yeah, he is gone. But I will hold the time that I had with him near and dear, and I'm just happy that I had him for as long as I did. But with all that being said, I need to issue some thank yous, and the first will be to my very close friends and my family, as they were the rocks that that kept both my mother and I from crumbling throughout this process. The amount of compassion and empathy and caring and everything that we were shown, love for that matter, was just incredible, and it continues to be so. I have pretty broad shoulders. I try to deal with whatever comes in my life myself, but there are some weights that are heavy enough where you can't put them just on your shoulders. And like the old, I think it's a Bill Withers song, Lean on Me. The lyrics to that song, as cliche as it may sound, they do ring quite true, especially in instances like this. So to close friends who are family, and to family, actual family, thank you guys all so much. I love all of you. Without you guys, I wouldn't be good right now. But you guys are incredible. Beyond them, everybody that, when I made the initial post about his illness, when I made the post about his passing, everybody that reached out to offer their thoughts, their condolences, their everything, just seeing that many people, and all the people that people I hadn't talked to in 10 years reached out and offered their condolences. And it was really heartwarming and kind of awe-inspiring and it may be such a simple gesture to somebody else. I mean, we're all guilty of it. You'd wish somebody a happy birthday, and it doesn't really mean much to you as the issuer of that sentiment, but to the person receiving it, it could mean the world to them. And that's the side that I found myself falling on. So thank all of you so much for offering your condolences, for reaching out, for being there as more love and support. And I greatly appreciate it. I'm not the most overtly emotional person, but it does mean the world to me. And all of you really touched my heart, and just thank you very much. And last but certainly not least, you guys, the viewers of this video. Throughout the course of my dad's illness and dealing with all of that and all kinds of other stuff, making these videos was and continues to be a massive point of solace and catharsis, and it is something that I really greatly enjoy doing. I know my videos are far from the best. My channel's very far from being the largest, but that isn't the reason for doing this. I love the knowledge transfer portion of it. I love interacting with you guys in the comment section. I love the whole process, the filming portion, the editing portion, watching the final product. It's everything that goes into it it's a passion project and a labor of love, and I have no intent to ever get famous from this. I don't ever want to be signing autographs, or I don't ever intend to sign autographs because of these videos, but it's just one person out there gets something from it, a new way to build a part, a new tool that will make their life easier. One of my favorite comments that I've ever received was somebody stating that they learned 2 new words in the video, and I usually try to speak properly, try to use an interesting vocabulary in the videos. But I guess before I ramble on too much, just thank all of you for being a part of this crazy, wild journey with me. It means the world to me. So before I go rambling on any farther, I want to read the poem that I had written for my dad, a memorial poem that I had written for him. And unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to read it to him while he was alive. I mentioned to him that I had written it, but it just never worked out where I was able to read it to him. But I'll share it with you guys, and this whole video is dedicated to him and to his memory and to everything else. So let me pull it up here real quick. And the poem is called Thank You for Everything. So hopefully I can make it through this without stuttering, but here we go. My friend, my mentor, my smooth ship in violent seas, my walking Britannica, my voice of reason, my confidant, my partner in peculiarity. My embers smoldered, and I began to burn. The smoke grew thick, and it was hard to breathe. But you were there, ready to extinguish the blaze. Back to back, we gazed at different horizons. Yours better than mine better than yours, until we turned around and realized the other's view wasn't so bad. An unstoppable comedic duo, playing for an empty theater. Our shows were cheap, and the food was bad. The standing ovation never came, but the encore always did. We identified the world's problems. Cunning commentary reigned aboundingly. 2 constants on the treacherous path of change. We fastened our belts and prepared for the bumpy ride. The hourglass flipped, and the grains began to fall. The clock clattered. It was quiet until it was deafening. The final grain fell, and then there was silence. Now all we have are memories, and memories are not enough, but they will have to be. Gone is my friend, my mentor, my smooth ship in violent seas, my walking Britannica, my voice of reason, my confidant, my partner in peculiarity. And I thank you. Thank you for everything. And again, I thank all of you for being my support system and everything that you've done throughout this process. So before I ramble on forward any longer, thank you guys. I'll see you in the next episode, and that'll be it for this one.